A fresh prompting method for Claude has been making waves online this past week. In a single prompt, it can build complete playable games and highly detailed 3D environments, impressive enough that even Andrej Karpathy suggested it could represent where LLM prompting is heading. Today, I'll walk you through this method, known as the Gauntlet Loop. It's one of the fastest ways to understand how to deploy multiple sub-agents to work on your behalf. So even if game design isn't your thing, you'll come away with a better understanding of agentic AI. And by the end, I'll point you to a ready-made skill that makes this approach much easier to use. I first came across the technique through Matt Schumer, who posted a jaw-dropping demo on X that's already reached nearly 4.8 million views. He claims Claude Opus 5 generated the entire game in one attempt, with every asset built from scratch in code. Matt may sound familiar. He also wrote the widely read piece, Something Big is Happening, which has pulled in roughly 87 million views, so he's clearly no stranger to AI experimentation. Naturally, a claim like AI one-shotted a game this polished, complete with audio, invites skepticism. But Matt later published a breakdown of exactly how he built it, calling the method the Gauntlet Loop. Since then, others have replicated similarly impressive builds: a near-perfect 3D Pokemon starting zone, a racing simulator, and even a Mario Kart-style game with detailed textures, roads, and environments. You don't need to care about game development to find this useful. Later, I'll show non-gaming applications too. But these demos matter because they reveal just how much raw power current models have. Karpathy captured this well in a recent post, noting that we're moving beyond the era of testing LLMs with something like a pelican riding a bicycle, SVG. Those tests were useful because no human would bother creating something so oddly specific by hand. AI models, however, have unlimited stamina and patience for it. So what exactly is the Gauntlet Loop? Matt's original prompt is surprisingly just 3 lines. The exact wording isn't the important part. It's the structure. First, state the task, in his case, building a first-person shooter. Second, define the build method. Tell the lead agent to fan out sub-agents, with each one handling a specific piece of work, and pair each with another agent whose job is to visually inspect that work. Third, set the bar to clear, the standard that determines when the agent is allowed to stop. In this case, the instruction was essentially, don't stop until every checking agent is thoroughly impressed compared against an 8AA title like Call of Duty. And those last 2 elements are what make this so powerful. Normally, you prompt an AI, get an output, judge it yourself, and then prompt it again until you're satisfied. But that judging role can be handed off to another agent. Now you have a loop. One agent produces the work, another critiques it, and they keep going back and forth until the required standard is reached. This isn't a completely new idea. Anthropic's Building Effective Agents article from 2024 found that pairing generation with a separate evaluator can improve output quality, partly because models tend to convince themselves their own work is already good enough. What's newer is how aggressively the Gauntlet Loop scales that idea. The main agent can fan out an entire fleet of sub-agents, each paired with its own critic, all working toward a standard you've defined up front. I tested this beyond gaming. I gave Opus 5 a floor plan from a real Sydney apartment listing in Darling Point, along with reference photos, and used the same 3-part prompt to request an explorable 3D walkthrough. It planned room builder agents alongside critic agents, and Claude's desktop app let me watch the process unfold. Lighting, room construction, evaluation, and repeated iterations. After roughly 2 hours, it produced a comparison report matching screenshots against my reference photos. The result was impressively close. Some rounds still failed and continued iterating on details like the couches, but the kitchen's marble counter and bedroom layouts matched the originals surprisingly well. I also tested it on a front-end website for a ketone supplement product. That took around 80 minutes and again used sub-agents plus a judging phase. The result was genuinely polished, with dark and light modes, animations, and researched product claims. But compared with the real product's brand system, it diverged significantly. And that revealed an important limitation. Visual polish isn't the same as following the brief. If you don't start with a strong minimum viable design or design system, the Gauntlet Loop can simply optimize extremely hard in the wrong direction. So my takeaway is this: don't make the Gauntlet Loop your very first prompt. These looping workflows consume a lot of time and tokens, and while the result might look incredible, it can still be far from what you actually wanted because you're allowing the agent to decide the direction. Instead, establish a strong MVP or design system first, then bring in the Gauntlet Loop as a kind of warp drive to sharpen, test, and polish that foundation. Thanks for watching.